All right, welcome to Undrafted Hockey Fan. I am Brad. Today we are covering NHL news and notes. And yes, the audio is not as good as normal. If you think this is what it sounds like normally, it does not. My microphone cord, I accidentally cut it. I guess I got a hole in it. It's not working. But I ordered a new one, so the microphone is coming out. But I wanted to come back to you. For those of you who've been on my podcast every day for the rest of the year, I appreciate it. I got to keep the consistency. I got the cord. It's coming tomorrow. So tomorrow's audio is going to sound great. So make sure you tune in tomorrow. Again, we have done 30 days, one podcast a day, every day covering. I've had interviews. We've done news and notes. And today we are doing a news and notes today. So we're going to jump in, just do a couple of things, and kind of do a rapid fire of a bunch of these things. Again, make sure you hit like, subscribe, comments, whatever you want. Put your favorite emoji down in the videos. It really helps because it makes the video go further because, hey, someone's interacting with it. So I really appreciate it. Anyways, so moving on, we have got Raymond making some history with the Detroit Red Wings. And for most multi-point goal games before turning 23. So again, Lucas Raymond, up and coming rising star with the Detroit Red Wings, is now tied for fifth for most multi-point games before turning 23, which means you give a guy who's starting to become a star, right? And this is some really good company that he's in. Sergei Fedorov with 62 multi-point games. Gordie Howe with 67. Marcel Dion, 67. Mind you, these guys are all about like 10 to 15 games ahead of Lucas Raymond, right? Just to show you how elite Steve Yzerman was, he had 105 multi-point games before turning 23. Mind you, he did enter the NHL as an 18-year-old, so he had more opportunities. He had like 82 more games. But just to give you an idea that's so Raymond had 51. Steve Yzerman had 105. That's 54 more games that he had multi-points. It just shows you how elite Yzerman was, man. It's just honestly, it's so impressive. It's so impressive. So I do want to talk about real quick Utah. So there was we talked about this the other day. Toronto Maple Leafs waived Dakota Mermis and Alex Nylander. And what ended up happening with that is that Alex Nylander ended up clearing waivers. Dakota Mermis did not clear waivers. He ends up getting picked up as a player that is a fill-in player. So he actually got signed by the Toronto Maple Leafs. Got hurt before the season. I think he had jaw surgery or something like that. And then the Toronto Maple Leafs nursed him back together, put him all back together. He hasn't played a game for the actual Toronto Maple Leafs. Goes to the AHL to play for the Toronto Marlies. Get a little conditioning stint to see where he's at. Plays 3 games, gets 1 assist, no big deal. 6 penalty minutes. Again, he's a fourth liner, not a huge impact player. But who decides to scoop him up is the Utah Hockey Club. And I don't know why. They are a little short on D, right? They did lose 2 D. They lost Sean Durzi and John Marino earlier in the year and ended up making a trade with the Detroit Red Wings. Speaking of who we were just talking about, for Oli Mata for a 3rd-round pick. So they filled in that one gap. You get Dakota Mermis, who played on the Minnesota Wild last year, ended up having in the AHL, or played in the AHL and the NHL, had 47 games with the Wild, only 8 points, 33. Again, a grinder, fourth line, third pair D, kind of just rotates in the roster. Not a huge impact defenseman, but again, he's a tough guy. Put up 33 minutes again, he'll swing at you. And so that's what Utah ends up doing. Is they end up picking up him. Moving on, continuing with waivers. Actually, we have the Oilers placed Travis Dermott on waivers. Who's definitely an impact player as well. We're looking up his stats and everything. Let me pull them up real quick. Travis Dermott played with the Arizona Coyotes and actually with the, I guess you call them Utah Hockey Club, because Arizona moved from Utah, or Arizona Coyotes moved from Arizona to Utah. We had Travis Dermott ended up playing 10 games with the Oilers so far this year. Again, the Oilers have played over like almost 29 games, I think, at this point. So he's been in and out of the lineup, and he gets put on waivers. And who ends up picking him up? But the Utah Hockey Club. I believe I missed that. No, I apologize. Not the Utah Hockey Club. It is the Minnesota Wild who end up picking him up, which is kind of crazy because you're like, oh, dude, Minnesota was must be good. Well, they got a couple injuries right now. So if we're looking at who's injured and everything right now, They have Jacob Middleton, who just went on long-term injury reserve, right? They got Matt Zuccarello out. They have Jonas Brodin's out. Joel Eriksson X out. So they have a lot of guys out right now on injury. And so they're just looking to fill in some guys. And that's two of their regular defensemen that should be in the lineup. So again, they claim Travis Dermott. Not a bad deal, right? Like again, he has 0 points. He's just like a fill-in guy, right? Maybe he plays for them for 15, 20 games, or he's just in the lineup as a fill-in, and then until their guys can get healthy. And so we'll see what ends up happening with that. But I imagine it's not going to be anything crazy. I mean, we're going to see, we'll just get a little play time. Again, he's a third pair D, not really a huge impact guy at this point in his career, I'd say. But he's still 27. He's definitely can still produce. I mean, when he was playing with the Leafs, he definitely had a little bit better production. But again, that's definitely gone off with a lower play time and everything. I think he actually played a lot in the AHL recently. Played with Vancouver, played with Toronto, kind of in and out of the lineup. So kind of a fringe NHLer at this point. Not a bad thing. Still playing in the show. So again, and he keeps and he's staying in the show, especially for a second-round pick too. So. The New York Jets also placing Henry Nick Cannon. Nick Cannon. Sorry, that's so stupid. Henry Nikkanen. Henry Nick Cannon. That's so funny. Nick Cannon. Oh my god, I'm cracking myself up. I'm reading this. I have it in my notes, and I didn't actually say it out loud, and that's so funny. So it's forward. They end up going to put him on waivers to see if anyone wants to claim him. And then basically they're going to cancel his contract so he can go sign with someone else. So they'll be canceling that contract. I do want to go over some of the save percentages. This is as of yesterday on the 12th. We have the highest save percentages in the league currently. And mind you, the goalie has to play at least 10 games. And we're seeing the Toronto Maple Leafs really leading the stat with both of their goalies. Actually, they're in the top 5. You have Stolarz at a 0.98, which is phenomenal save percentage. I mean, you're looking at a 900 or 0.9 is a league average. That's phenomenal. Of course, Gustafsson doing phenomenal as well. Gustafsson actually and Hellebuck behind Stolarz just by 0.001. It's so close. It's literally one save extra. With a 0.927. Dostal, phenomenal rookie goaltender, just killing it, really taking on that starter position from Gibson, who I imagine will be in the trade talks like he always is, with a 0.291. And then Woll with a 0.919. So, and Woll and Stolarz, I mean, Toronto Maple Leafs are getting phenomenal goaltending, and you can tell that they're really helping them in the standings too. They are leading. They're leading the Atlantic Division and also in second in the Eastern Conference. Goodness gracious, second in the Eastern Conference. They're currently 7-3 at 0 in the last 10. I mean, playing super well. I mean, honestly, who else we can see? I think they're 5th in the league, and I mean, Toronto Maple Leafs are usually sitting around that 3 spot, especially like last year, are just dominating, and it's actually impressive, especially with how poorly the Boston Bruins have been doing, and Tampa Bay Lightning, as well as where is it? Where are we at? Why is this not? I gotta refresh this. My apologies. It's not reading it properly. It has the Ottawa sent. Sorry about this. I'll get it back in a second. Oh, I listed wrong. My bad. That's on me. Okay, they are tied. My apologies. They're tied with the Florida Panthers with the top of the division, but have played less games, so they're doing better. Toronto is a phenomenal team when they actually get good goaltending. Mind you, they haven't played a ton of games away yet in comparison to their home games. So they played 12 on the road, 17 at home, and of course you have that home advantage. And people talk about having a home team advantage, which is a thing. Not only, but people think, oh, it's a crowd aspect. But in hockey, there's actually there's a difference with having a home team advantage. Yes, you have your own crowd, so they're cheering for you and everything. It's your barn. You're most used to it. You're most used to the ice. You have to sleep in your own bed the night before, right? You practice at your facility. It's all about routine and everything. But the other thing is that what happens if it's at a home game for you is that the other team puts their guys out first. So whoever's going to play that line, right? Who's ever going to be playing during this shift. And what the coach has to do is look at who they're putting out. And so it's called line matching. And you say, oh man, they're putting out their worst players right now. Let's put out our best so that we can score against that line, right? So that you're playing the game of they're putting the best players out. Okay, let's put our shutdown players down so you can make sure they don't score a goal, right? And so you can just line match, which I think is really smart, and it's definitely a huge aspect of the game if you haven't noticed it. That's when people lose home games. You're kind of like, dude, you get to line match. You get to play. You have an advantage here. So why aren't you taking advantages, or why is the advantage not working for you? That's why it's so frustrating when you go to a home game. You're like, you were supposed to win this, or when teams have losing home records. I'm talking to you, Buffalo Sabres, who are 6-9-3. I'm talking to you, Detroit Red Wings, who are 5-7-2. Red Wings have only won 5 of their 14 games at home. That's it. And it's just so frustrating, man. I'll tell you. By the way, speaking of Buffalo Sabres, just talking about this, it's crazy that they have these elite players. They traded out Jack Eichel, and who went to Vegas, won a cup. Traded out Sam Reinhart, who went to Florida, who won a cup. Traded out Ryan O'Reilly, traded to St. Louis Blues, who won a cup. Traded Middlestad, who is on a struggling Colorado team, but that's okay. Traded out Ristolainen as well. But it's just crazy that 3 of their 5 major trades, they went on to win a cup. So just Buffalo is drafting these great guys and moving them out, and they got pieces back. They got Tuck, they got Krebs, Oslin, Levi, Kulich, Logan Thompson, or not Logan Thompson, Tate Thompson. Tate Thompson? Yeah, that's right. Ryan Johnson, Bowen Byram, Rosen, Wahlberg. I mean, there's guys there. Those are definitely guys. But when you're trading out these elite stars, a 2nd overall pick, a 3rd overall pick, a 4th overall pick, players like Ryan O'Reilly was a 2nd round pick. I apologize, but you get these good pieces back, but they're just not they're not doing as well as you would like them to, and it's just so frustrating because we want Buffalo to succeed. They're a good team. They have plenty of potential. They're a great fan base. They come out. I mean, you see the Buffalo Bills. As Kevin Adams would say, we don't have palm trees, and yes, we have taxes, but people want to go to the Buffalo Bills because the energy's there. They have a star in Josh Allen, but it's because the team culture around them is really good. And so you just want to, and they're like, oh, they get snow. By the way, you're talking about hockey players being in snow. The Buffalo Bills literally have a arena that doesn't have a roof. So when it snows, I think it was last year, there's so much snow in Buffalo that they told fans that they can come to the arena and they could shovel snow. I think they ended up getting paid $20-25 an hour to shovel snow out of the arena because they had so much snow, which is crazy to me. It just shows you there is people want to be in Buffalo. People love being in Buffalo. They want to cheer for good teams. And it's just so frustrating that Kevin Adams hasn't built a team, or the guys haven't worked out in Buffalo so far. And we talked about this. Go check out my last video. No, 2 videos ago. I did go on a Buffalo Sabres rant, good 15-20 minutes. So go check that out. Go check that out 2 videos prior. So actually I'll link it down below. So yeah, we'll see. It's a really good news. We had Teddy Blueger's mom came, and he's plays for the Vancouver Canucks, and his mom is visiting from Latvia. So Teddy Blueger's from Latvia. His mom comes to visit, and she's never played 50-50 before. And if you haven't played 50-50 at the hockey games, you buy a ticket, or you buy several tickets, right? And all the money gets pooled together, and if you win, you get half the money, and the other half goes to the organization, right? Or to a charity or whatever. Usually a charity, that's how they usually do it. So let's say that there's $20,000 that's raised at the Vancouver game. So, and the mom ends up winning the 50-50 raffle. So she ends up winning, and this one, by the way, it wasn't just $20,000. The whole thing was over $200,000 at this Vancouver game. So she buys a ticket, never played before, and she wins more than $100,000. Isn't that crazy? That's so wild. And not a bad vacation at all, as Noah Strand said. That is a good. Now I guess their son is not the only one that's actually making money in this family. So good for them, man. Good for them. So we're gonna do a quick break though, a quick DraftKings break, And then we'll jump into some next news, and we'll catch you in a few minutes. Stay tuned.
The 24-25 NHL season still has that new car smell, and the action is heating up at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. It's super easy for first-timers to get started at DraftKings Sportsbook. Try betting on something simple like picking a team to win. And, of course, if you're listening to this, you're probably a Red Wings fan. You can definitely bet the puck line, the total, the money line, how many goals are going to be scored over or under. Example is most of them are coming up is at like 6. So you can be like over 6 goals or under 6 goals. I mean, you can get all the action at Sportsbook. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers. Get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER in New York. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit cpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort. 21 plus, age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bet must win to receive award. Bonus bet expires 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ice.
All right, moving to the next parts. We got a couple of good things. Andrei Vasilevskiy has already played 500 games, and this guy is a monster goalie. Playing for the Tampa Bay Lightning, has won 2 Stanley Cups with them, been to 4 Stanley Cup, 3 or 4 Stanley Cup finals. Just a monster goalie. And I think he's not even 30 yet, which is wild to me because he's definitely going down as a first ballot Hall of Famer for the team. He is 30. He did turn 30 recently. Looks like it was back on this past summer, July 25th. God, and he's like 4 years younger than me too, and already this multiple-time Stanley Cup winner. I mean, and he's having a really good season as well with a .91 save percentage, 2.38 goals against in 23 games. Good for him, man. Playing very hard. He actually plays a good chunk of the Tampa Bay's games as well. Looks like he's only missed 5. I mean, that's phenomenal. I mean, that's why he gets paid the big bucks. He's getting paid. Let's look it up real quick. I think it's $9.5. Yep, $9.5 million per year, and he signed an 8-year contract. The guy is doing just fine financially. So, moving on our next talking St. Louis Blues now. Radim Faksa ended up getting a cut, and it was in the lower region. It's considered a lower body injury. Coach Montgomery of the St. Louis Blues comment says the cut was I'm not a doctor, real close to his private. So his dick cut. No, I'm not joking. They said it was a cut in the lower area. So hopefully a speedy recovery on his precious family jewels and his family. I give nothing but hope for him and his family and his wife. So moving on to the Capitals, there actually have been a lot of discussions. Again, I'm just ripping through this, by the way. If you like this style of video, let me know. If you don't and you want me to do more flushing out, let me know. Like I said, there's a lot of news that I haven't covered because I had some Red Wings stuff that I wanted to cover. But if you enjoy this type of video, let me know. I really appreciate it. If you haven't seen the Capitals Screaming Eagle jerseys, look them up. They are beautiful. They got the Eagles coming across. They're black. They look phenomenal. And there are discussions about having this jersey in the regular rotation for the Washington Capitals. It is gorgeous. And like I said, it's not your traditional red, white, and blue either, which is really nice, especially for a team out of DC. It's just a nice black. It's got some gold and white, a little bit of blue in there, but overall, it's a sleek jersey, which is so nice. Moving over to West now, going to the Anaheim Ducks. Trevor Zegras, who did come off the ice, looked like he had an injury with his ankle, ended up being his knee, had knee surgery to repair a torn meniscus, and he'll only miss 6 weeks, which is huge for the center, especially for someone who I think a lot of teams are looking at to trade for, because Trevor Zegras is a highly skilled player. Definitely is a desirable player because of his skill set. He had a really good rookie season back in his first year. It was 2020 was his first year. 2020, 2021. Actually did okay, half point per game, but his first full season, 61 points in 75 games, phenomenal for a first full season. Goodness gracious! And then followed up with a 65 point in 81 games. And then he got his new contract, and he's really struggled since. He had an injury last year, only playing 31 games. And this year is playing 24 games and even a worse production. 10 points in 24 games. Mind you, this guy's only making $5.75 million. And for a 9th overall pick, this guy, I mean, he doesn't have any no clauses or anything, so he can just be traded wherever. So you look at teams that are looking for center depth right now. I mean, you're looking at the Nashville Predators, who, by the way, have 3 first-round draft picks who can absolutely trade for a Trevor Zegras once he gets healthy. You're looking at Boston, who just signed Elias Lindholm to a huge contract, but he's not really working out. He doesn't drive lines, so for a number 1 center that you want something more, you need to be able to drive lines. You're recognizing that Boston is kind of fleeting at this point. I mean, they are still in the standings. They're in the 3rd spot in the Atlantic, but Tampa Bay is really close, with only 1 point behind and 4 games in hand. So at this point, Tampa really is. They're definitely going to leapfrog them. I mean, because you have 4 games to try and Boston or Tampa Bay basically has to get 1 win in the next 4 games, which is absolutely possible for a team with Andrei Vasilevskiy because of elite goaltending. So, real quick, I do want to touch base on this. This is a little heavy. So if you're squeamish to the Matthew and Johnny Gaudreau case, skip ahead. It's probably about a minute or 2. I do want to talk about Sean Higgins, who was the person who committed the crime. So this is your chance. Pause, skip ahead a little bit. I don't know how long it's to take, but I do want to review the news because it is important to talk about Johnny Gaudreau and Matthew Gaudreau's passing. A grand jury has indicted Sean Higgins for multiple crimes related to the death of Johnny and Matthew Gaudreau. 2nd-degree reckless vehicular homicide, 1st-degree aggravated manslaughter, 4th-degree tampering with physical evidence, which that was a new one for me, and 2nd-degree leaving the scene of a fatal accident. He's scheduled to be arraigned on January 7th of 2025. Of course, Johnny and Matthew Gaudreau didn't only affect the NHL or hockey world; they affected all of the sporting world. It was highly talked about. Just to give a quick recap of the scene of what ended up happening is Johnny and Matthew Gaudreau. Johnny played in the NHL. Matthew was, I believe, was in AHL, or he was coaching or something like that. They both played hockey predominantly. And they're back home in New Jersey for their sister's wedding on a Thursday. They were riding their bikes in a normal spot. Sean Higgins, drunk driving, had several beers behind the wheel, hit the boys while they're on their bikes and killed them, both dead on scene. And so, of course, they passed. It was huge impact. Johnny Hockey, as Johnny Gaudreau was known as, had a huge part in a great success in the Calgary Flames. Decides to go and sign with a small market team like Columbus Blue Jackets, which was huge for the franchise. Definitely take him to that next step. And again, this has just happened this past August. So we get a team that is honestly, they're doing better than everyone thought because of the rallying of behind Johnny. They have a locker room and they have a spot in the locker room for Johnny, sitting right next to Sean Monahan, who, oh goodness gracious, sorry, I get worked up on this. So Sean Monahan ended up deciding to sign with the Columbus Blue Jackets because he was going to play with his buddy Johnny Gaudreau again. And the families are really close and their kids are really close. And we ended up finding out that both Johnny Gaudreau and Matthew Gaudreau's wives are both pregnant. So they both will have kids who don't know their fathers. And that's tough to hear. And again, Sean Monahan has been nothing but good support for both families, and especially Meredith, Johnny's wife. We see it on social media all the time. And so we wish nothing but the best for the Gaudreau family having to go through such a hardship. And we are seeing Guy Gaudreau come out. He's played with the Philadelphia Flyers originally. Johnny and Matthew are both from Philadelphia. So John Tortorella, coach of the Philadelphia Flyers, brings out Guy Gaudreau out for practices and has him read lines or run lines with them. And it's actually really fucking adorable. Ooh, I will cry if I think about it much longer. But anyways, I hope nothing but the best for the Gaudreau family and all the hardship they're going through. And it was tough. Like I said, it was a tough day. It's still tough. I mean, it's still tough because again, not only an elite hockey player, but like such a good dude too. You've seen the videos online of the celebration of life for them from the Calgary Flames. It was honestly beautiful. And again, it was gorgeous. It was gorgeous, but it was a bummer that it was horrible that it had to happen, right? In the first place. So anyways, on that, we'll move forward. There's no really good way to transition out of that, honestly. We're gonna go to the Pittsburgh Penguins, getting Matt Nieto, who by the way, Pittsburgh Penguins had a hell of a game against the Montreal Canadiens. Matt Nieto scores the 8th goal in a 9-2 victory in Montreal for the Penguins, getting his first goal in 405 days. So looking at over a year of not scoring a goal in the show. I mean, that's amazing. It's good for him, man. Again, talking about this game, you have Brian Rust putting up a hat trick for this game as well. Very impressive for a gentleman like Brian Rust, who is, I mean, he's definitely on the older age and a huge contract. I know the Red Wings are looking at picking him up, a 32-year-old, who, by the way, this year does have a no-move clause, but next year it does not. He has no protection for the rest of his contract, but mind you, he does have, after this year, he has 3 more years left on his contract, and he will be 36 at the end of this contract, which is old. I'm not 36, but it is old. He's getting up there in his career. He has 20 points in 24 games, definitely a sought-after person. So if he wants to be traded this trade deadline, he absolutely could catch someone or fetch a little bit for the Penguins. Mostly, they want his cap hit gone, but he is playing first line winger right now on the right side with Sidney Crosby. So you can't be too mad at what you're getting, the production you're getting out of Brian Rust. He's definitely keeping his value right now, especially with him and Rickard Rakell. I mean, honestly, Rickard Rakell, Brian Rust, Sidney Crosby, that line's doing okay for a team that is so old. I mean, again, getting Malkin really just keeping up with the young kids now. Good old 30, I think he's 37. No, he's not 37. He's not that. There's no way. He's not 37. Is he? 38? No, he's 38. Oh, my goodness. Evgeny Malkin, hats off to you, man. If you see on YouTube, I actually took my hat off, so not a big deal, you know. But it's impressive. There are some good players on here. They all want to stick together. I just don't know if Kyle Dubas, president and GM of the Pittsburgh Penguins, is going to keep them together because they're trying to win, and they're just too old and they're too expensive. So, going on to the everyone's new favorite first overall draft pick. It was Connor Bedard, but Connor Bedard looks like he's having a miserable time in Chicago, and Chicago is having a miserable time because they're not playing well either. With all the big signs that they did this year, it is not impressive. But just to let you know, since November 18th, Macklin Celebrini, again, first overall draft pick this past year in the 2024 NHL draft for the San Jose Sharks, has more points than Matt Tkachuk, crazy, $9.5 million player. Braden Point, $9.5 million player. Connor McDavid, $12.5 million player. Mikko Rantanen, $6.5 million player. Zach Werenski, $9.5 million player. Drake Batherson, I think he's 5.5, 6.5, and Macklin Celebrini has more points than them since November 18th, which is crazy. It's almost a month, and when you consider that this Macklin Celebrini is making under $1 million right now. His cap is under $1 million, and he is killing it. He's definitely getting huge value out of the first overall draft pick. So, moving on, we have the Tampa Bay Lightning did again another high-scoring game, 8-3 versus the Calgary Flames, and this is a Calgary Flames team who had a really hot start. And mind you, the West is a little bit more competitive than the East. If you had 33 points right now, Calgary Flames have 33 points in the West right now. If you had 33 points and they're out of a playoff spot, they're the first spot out of a playoff spot, but they're out of it. If they had 33 points in the East, they would be in the first wild card spot, like not second, the first wild card spot, which is much better. You have a lot more security. So this team is starting to drop off. They're having a bad stint right now. 3-5-2 in their last 10 games, and a -14. Goaltending just hasn't been the strength that it was earlier this year. But again, mind you, but I would say it's not necessarily Dustin Wolf's fault. Rookie goaltender for the Calgary Flames. You have Devin Cooley and Dan Vladar as well. And they just called up Devin Cooley recently. the 7th round draft pick from Buffalo Sabres, I want to say, if I remember correctly. We're going to goalies right now. Looking at Dustin Wolf right now, who is I lost a second. 1 second. Dustin Wolf's got a 0.90 or 0.909 save percentage, which is awesome. Again, good save percentage, above average. His goals against is a little higher, 2.8. But then you have Devin Cooley, who's playing phenomenal this year. With the Wranglers, he's got a 1.8 goals against. Under 2 is unheard of in the NHL. Sustainably unheard of in the NHL. And he's not, again, he's doing the AHL. A 0.942 save percentage. He's just doing a phenomenal job, Devin Cooley. I mean, and they picked him up. They just picked him up recently. Like this past summer, he's 27 years old, signed a 2-year contract at League Min. What a steal of a contract, honestly. And he played with the San Jose Sharks. I think he was originally drafted by the Buffalo Sabres, I want to say. Maybe he's undrafted. He was undrafted. Look at him, man. Just proved himself right out of college, I would assume. Let's pull up the stats real quick. I originally played in the U16, U14, U18 for the Sharks, the USHL. No, he played in college. Played in college for the University of Denver. Which is a phenomenal program, putting out a ton of Red Wings draft picks. Z Bouillon just talked him out of there. Shai Bouillon, Red Wings draft pick, his brother. Carter Mazur played there. There's just a ton of good guys coming out of there, and it's honestly it's super impressive. Sorry, I just want to go back to that. The reason I talked about the 8-3 Calgary loss. So Calgary lost, Tampa Bay won 8-3. You also had Nikita Kucherov, who put up 6 points in that one game, that is a high scoring guy. That is a high scoring guy. I think he's on pace for like 142 points, which is crazy. I think he set that franchise record with Tampa Bay Lightning, and he's going to break it again, or come close to breaking it again. So, going back to Mac Lenzell, again, our favorite little shark. He actually is as an 18-year-old in NHL history. He ranks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11th in most points through 20 games as an 18-year-old in NHL history. Talking about some of the company that he's in. Wayne Gretzky, I mean, the great one. Ron Francis, Sidney Crosby, again, 2 phenomenal players. Patty Kane, I mean, probably the best American player ever to play. Steve Yzerman, Dale Howardchuk, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, who's, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, him, but Steve Yzerman, I mean, these are some phenomenal players to be in company of. And he's sitting at 19 points. And mind you, Wayne Gretzky had 30 points in 20 career games at 18 years old. Just shows you how phenomenal he was. It's crazy. We're moving into a couple more news. Let's pull up a couple more things. There are talks about, Sabres are getting calls on Dylan Cozens, and there are things that, quote, he is significantly wanted. And what, I don't know what that means, but that is something. They want him, especially a guy who's on a big contract, and who is not performing as well. He's at $7.1 million per year, and that's not only is that a high amount of money to move, it's a big contract to move as well, because he signed that I think it was last year. So yeah, he signed it last year, so he's on the second year of his deal. And it's a 7-year deal for $7.1 million, and he's only putting up 13 points in 29 games. And as a right winger, you kind of want to. He's playing the right wing right now on a second line. You'd like to see more out of him right now, because but Buffalo is struggling for sure. Last time I checked, look at Buffalo right now. They've lost 8 games in a row, and I'm curious, are they playing tonight? Because I got to see if they're playing tonight. Oh, they are. Oh, they're playing tomorrow against the Washington Capitals. Only one of the hottest, probably the best team in the NHL. Actually, I think they are the best team in the NHL right now. Washington Capitals, points percentage-wise, they are the best team in the league. Beating out Minnesota. Now, mind you, they're tied with Minnesota, but Washington has an extra game left, and Winnipeg Jets have 1 point ahead of them. But again, they have three games on the Jets. So, I mean, Buffalo, I believe, will lose that game as well, which would be a 9-game losing streak, which is, I mean, it is, I don't know the last time I saw a team. Actually, I can tell you. The last team to lose 10 games in a row and still make the playoffs were the Edmonton Oilers last year, who lost their first 10 games. And it's crazy to watch when you think about McDavid and Draisaitl being down there. It's just right. It's honestly, it's super crazy. So, but you're looking at a guy in Dylan Cozens who's had played very phenomenally. Looking at his 21-22 years, so his first full season, 21-22 in 79 games, 38 points, a little over half a point per game player. 68 points in 81 games. That's a good player. And then when he gets a new contract, it just ever since then he's been slowly declining. 47 points in 79 games. Again, not as good. Just probably a little over half a point per game player. And you need more out of guys who are making $7 million. And this year, under a half point per game player is just not good enough. But mind you, this guy was drafted as a center. He's a right shot center. He's 6'3". He has leadership because he's an assistant captain on the team. So he's picked 7th overall. This guy can still play. He can still play really well. And so we're hoping to see a bounce back from him. Again, similar to what we saw with the Trevor Zegras and teams that are looking for centers. I'm looking at Dylan Cozens would do so well on the Boston Bruins. He just has that grind and grit to him. And I can see that Nashville doesn't bump and grind as much, I'd say. They're definitely tougher, but Boston, that is their MO, is just being tough and gritty and getting in your face. And Dylan Cozens does that because you know why? He's kind of a dick, and I get it and that's why I don't like him. But if he was on the team that I cheer for, the Red Wings, I'd love him. I'd be so stoked for him, right? But again, he doesn't play there. He plays in the same division. So I'm mad that he's playing. He plays with them. So we just need to get him started. I think they need to probably move him up to the top line and move Alex Tuck down, just to try and get him started, right? Just to get him moving and try and get him shaking, just to be able to get him some points in it, and maybe up his trade value as well if they're looking to trade him. If they're looking to keep him, then leave him where he's at, I guess, and get a good draft pick. But I mean, we'll see. So we're taking a quick break again, jumping into one more ad read, and then we'll finish up with a little bit more news and notes. Got a couple more things, and then we will head out for the night, and you guys can get another video tomorrow. So make sure to check in. Again, if you haven't already, hit like, subscribe, and I really appreciate it. I'll see you in the break.
You know what that sound is? That's the sound of ice skates skating on the ice at your favorite team's hockey game. You know, there's nothing like the excitement of being at a game, the crowd, the energy, the roar, the chants, the songs. It's just so much to it. And the best way you're going to be able to find an amazing seat and an amazing game is going to be at Game Time. Game Time also has this new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff and shows you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste your time searching through thousands of tickets. And my wife and I were actually end up going to a Detroit Red Wings game on December 2nd, I believe it is. That's one that we're looking at, and talk about a super deal. And you can actually find any concert tickets there. You can do comedy. There's so many different options there. They also have curated deals to make it easier to find the best deals on great seats. And also you can see the view of your seat before you buy. They have a lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection, and job loss protection as well. One thing I really enjoy about it is the all-in pricing. Toggle this feature to show the total upfront with no surprise fees at checkout. So you can also get a camera again. Talking about your view, it's a panoramic view. You can see the sea, not just like we'll look at the stage. You get the full panoramic view, and they also have the lowest price guarantee. Or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. And so take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code THPN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code THPN for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time.
Game time it is. We're back here for the last part of the video / podcast, whichever way you're tuning in, but make sure you hit like, subscribe, and all that jazz because you love me. Because you just love me. And again, you might not love my voice, but the microphone is coming back. Don't you worry. It's coming back tomorrow. Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, get ready for a better sounding podcast. So moving on to a couple of more things. Josh Norris of the Senators has been fined $2,000 as a supplementary supplementary discipline for diving. If you don't know what diving is, diving means basically you're trying to cause a penalty by like embellishing. Diving is embellishing. So you're just like you get hit and you're like whoa, like you get like hit a little bit, like you get hit in the side and you jump out of, oh my god, I got hit. Like you're basically embellishing. And Josh Norris did get that because that happened to him on Marco Kasper or Sider, I believe. It was Sider. It was Sider during the Red Wings game. So only took that was back. I think it was back on like December. I think it was the December second game actually. It's been over a week and a half, and they finally find him, thankfully. And actually, this is not his first time. He's actually been been called for this, so which is good. But Josh Norris is a guy who, side note, he is in trade talks as well. Josh Norris is in the third year of his 8-year deal. He's again a center, 6'1", high drafted, because you know who drafted him? The San Jose, or not high drafted. It's not drafted 19th overall by the San Jose Sharks because he was part of the Erik Karlsson deal. And he's got 19 points, 28 games. Kind of slowed down effort as a second line center, but Wikipedia has him as a first line center. He's a second line center, let's be honest. But I think they put him on first line to try and get him started and get him going. And mind you, dude, the centers are playing overall, like they're putting up some points in their top line. They're getting no depth scoring. Holy smokes. But Josh Norris is again another center who could be on the trade block. I definitely think they want to keep him. I think it'd be harder to trade him. I think he probably has some protection as well. He currently has a 10-team no trade list. And 10 teams typically include the 7 teams in Canada and either the 3 teams in California. So that is might be where he is. He is probably the 10 teams. So we'll see. I don't know if he gets traded. I think they want him part of the future. It is another high cap hit, almost $8 million. So you definitely don't want to be trading out a young core when you have guys like Brady Chuck, young captain, right? Drake Batherson, Tim Stützle, like Adam Gaudette. I don't know he was still playing with them. Hey, good for him. 15 points in 27 games. Good for him. Get some good value out of him. Like I said before about Minnesota, Jacob Middleton is on LTIR, which is, and they also activated Zuccarello as well. Oh, they actually activated Zuccarello. Never mind. So that would be good for it's good to get Minnesota Wild get Zuccarello back, but Jacob Middleton, a Mr. Irrelevant, and Mr. Irrelevant is a football term, I know, but usually it's because football players actually make the team, and they actually, like when they're drafted, you're like, oh, you're drafted, you're on the team immediately, or you're on the practice squad, right? When it comes to hockey players, these guys take a long time to marinate, and so he came up in the San Jose Sharks system, gets traded to Minnesota Wild for, I think, Kako and a pick, I'm pretty sure, Kakkonen and a pick, and so he is performing really well with Brock Faber over there, a great defensive defenseman. Love the mustache. If you haven't seen it, he's got a phenomenal mustache. He's just a dude's dude. Pretty big news, honestly, out of the Islanders camp. We're seeing Pierre Engvall. That's not that big one. Pierre Engvall is getting waived. We saw him get waived. I think it was earlier this year. Yeah, it was earlier this year. Or maybe it was last year. And that's not the only person that's been waived on the Islanders. It is also Oliver Wahlstrom, 11th overall draft pick, which is a little crazy. You're like, oh man, mind you, he did sign like a 1-year deal this past year. Just $1 million straight up for he's a 11th overall pick though. Currently only has 4 points in 27 games. Not playing a ton of time in the show right now. But again, he's still an RFA. He's a right shot winger, 24 years old, still young, 6'2". Got a bit of a body on him, but it doesn't put up a lot of numbers here. So Oliver Wahlstrom, I think he definitely gets claimed. He's a guy who, the 11th overall pick. Someone's going to take a stab at him. We could see in his first half season in the NHL 2021, which actually I think that was a shortened season because of the pandemic. So that one, he got 21 points in 44 games, half point per game player, not too bad. mind you, the Islanders aren't a high-scoring team anyways. So you're looking at a guy who had 24 points in 73 games. That's lower production, but his penalty minutes are way up. So he's getting more time on the ice. He's playing 10 minutes a night, similar production. He's really been a 10-minute guy, 10 minutes per game on the ice, and that's really a third, fourth line role. But I definitely think people take a flyer on him because, again, why not? He's an RFA. You'll have control over him. I mean, someone's gonna pick this guy up, and it's for only $1 million too. Definitely highly desirable in that sense. So 4 points, 27 games. Tough sledding for Oliver Wahlstrom, but I mean, hopefully he either gets an opportunity to get his game back in the AHL or finds another opportunity with another team. I got him from the Sharks, from Columbus. I'm trying this guy out because hell, fuck it, why not, right? You know. And then Pierre Engvall, the giraffe from Toronto, who was traded for a third-round pick 2 years ago for his rights. So Lou Lamoriello picks up Pierre Engvall for the New York Islanders. This guy is 6'5", 216 pounds, probably one of the most shredded guys physically in the NHL. Talking about him and like Ryan Lomberg for the Calgary Flames. Mind you, Lou Lamoriello signs Pierre Engvall to an 8-year deal. We're like, oh, he gets an 8-year deal. He's 28 years old right now. So he's 28 years old. He signs him when he's 26. So it takes him until he's 34 years old. You're like, 8 years, and it's at $3 million. $3 million for 8 years. So he gets a $24 million contract out of nowhere. Pierre Engvall is just not that guy. He's 6'5", but doesn't play big. He doesn't fight. He doesn't use his body the way he should. He does have some hands on him for a bit, but overall, this guy has never been a huge producer. So it was kind of crazy that not only did you trade for him, you gave him this huge contract. Again, not that crazy a cap hit, $3 million, but you're waiving a guy who's on this huge contract, and you're like, what's the deal, honestly? And he was traded at the trade deadline, by the way, 22-23. Produced half point per game that year for the Islanders. Again, next season with the Islanders, played 74 games, 28 points, played about 13 minutes a night. I mean, that's just third line guy. That's what he's been. And this year he's playing at like 10 and a half, or just like doing the math, sorry. A little over 10 minutes a night, about 10 and a half minutes a night. And just, again, fourth line role, fourth line role, just not playing a ton. And he's just not been really much of a threat, which is why they're waiving him. And honestly, I don't think anyone's going to pick him up because why would you? It's a huge contract. It's a huge burden. Like, I don't think you want him in the organization. Even if you waive him, you still got to pay him $3 million in the AHL. And I think AHL only covers like 1.6. So you're paying a guy you're paying $1.4 million for a guy to not play on your team. Just to give you an idea. So yeah, that's not good at all. Not good at all. So anyways, I think Pierre Engvall gets waived. I think Wahlstrom gets picked up. And I think that's just what we're going to see. And Pierre Engvall is just kind of an up and down kind of guy, which is kind of a bummer for a guy who was traded and gets this massive contract. Probably one of the biggest contracts I'm seeing of a guy getting waived. I'm surprised, and he does have a modified no trade clause, but does not have a no move clause, which means that he can still be sent down to the minors, and that's his right, I guess. So I think he thought he'd be playing a little better than he has been. So we will see. Anywho, let's jump into the next piece of news. Let me pull it up real quick. Whoop. Pulling it up. But I got a super surprise with that. Lucas Raymond of the Detroit Red Wings is currently leading under 23 U23 leaders in the NHL, only behind Tim Stützle, and he's second in U23 leaders in points. Now you're looking at some good company: Matvei Michkov, Connor Bedard, Logan Cooley, William Eklund, Will Cooley. Again, and Tim Stützle is the only one that's beaten him. And for a guy who was drafted fourth overall, again, not a first overall draft pick. I mean, you're looking at a guy, Tim Stützle, was drafted third ahead of him. Is playing better, but I don't see a Lafreniere in here. I don't see. Celebrini's not even on here yet, but he was injured at first. So I will say that it's good to see Raymond start to pop off. I mean, he's playing so well. I think he has 30 points, I believe. Let me pull it up real quick. Pretty sure it's 30 points in like 28 games. I mean, for a guy who's just, again, he's just lighting up. He's only one of the few bright spots on the Red Wings right now. Yeah, 30 points, 29 games, over a point per game. Love to see that for Lucas Raymond. It's phenomenal. We'll do a quick thing with the OHL, and then that's what we'll end on right here. OHL is mourning the loss of a leader who demonstrated tremendous vision and paired with kindness and generosity towards others. The Lake Erie owner and governor, Jim Waters, has passed away unexpectedly at 73 years old. Jim Waters, owner and governor of the Lake Erie Otters. Lake Erie Otters were famously where Connor McDavid was actually playing. Let's go Lake Erie Otters. I'm going to pull up their alumni. So, yeah, you get a guy like Connor McDavid comes out of there. Not Lake Erie Otters, just Erie Otters. You have Ryan O'Reilly, phenomenal player, still playing. Andrei Vasilevskiy, Alex DeBrincat plays for the for the Detroit Red Wings, right? You're looking at Connor Brown, Adam Pelech, Dylan Strome, Anthony Cirelli, like Eric Cernak, Travis Dermott, who we just talked about today. You got Taylor Radish. You have Jamie Drysdale, who was recently drafted. Like Hayden Hodgson. I mean, there's a lot of good players on here, and just even the name of Connor McDavid, a first overall draft pick out of there. It's just crazy. So, look at some of the points here. Tim Conley. I mean, Mike Rupp, dude, that's crazy. Mike Rupp is Nikita Alexiev. Dude, this is crazy. It's actually honestly crazy how many guys are coming out of this. Again, it's a junior team. OHL is a junior team. Ontario Hockey League in Toronto, it's like junior league. Like I said, the guys are playing there are like 18 and under or like 19. They're just young kids, and so it's great to see a thriving franchise. And it's sad that Jim Waters passed away. Again, just building's a great franchise for these young kids to come up through. It's sad, it's sudden, and it's a bummer. And I'm sure there's gonna be they're gonna have a huge talk about it. I'm sure they might actually have it at some, like, imagine the Oilers will talk about it because of how impactful he is with Connor McDavid, Stanley Cup winner, Ryan O'Reilly, Stanley Cup winner, Andrei Vasilevskiy, Stanley Cup winner, right? Like, there's guys that won Stanley Cups that came from this junior team who developed with this team as well. So love to see that. Like, these guys that are just flourishing in the NHL. It's all things to Jim Waters. So again, my condolences to the Waters family. And I hope nothing but the best that they can get past. Well, they can honor him in memoriam. So anyways, that's all I got for tonight. Hit like, subscribe. Appreciate it. If you haven't checked out Stolarz Hockey, they make great sticks. They're a up-and-coming brand for hockey sticks. And I'm excited to see them thrive as a brand. Because I think they're gonna do good. They're making cheap hockey sticks for people so they can get into the game whenever they break a stick, and it doesn't have to be crazy expensive. Like back in the day, the Easton Synergy, the yellow stick. So anyways, let me know what your thoughts are. Hit like, subscribe, appreciate it, love you. Catch you next one. Bye.